In this video, we're going to have a little look at a particular tool, or rather at a particular setting, which will enable you to control the Gear Alert emails which are sent out to your administrator and to your users. The tool you're after is on the settings menu here, and it's called Settings and Gear Alerts. So by default, without using this tool, all of your emails, whenever equipment is end of life or approaching inspection or overdue inspection, are going to go to either your admin email address or a specific email address that you assign. But either way, they'll all be going to the same place, which is not really that useful. By heading to Gear Alerts, you can take a lot more control over that. So let's have a look at, there's two parts to this. The first part of the Gear Alert settings is deciding for each category of equipment in each area you work, who's going to get the alerts. That's the first one. And then the second is you can make some small adjustments to those emails to make them more relevant to your users as well. Let's start off by setting up our distribution lists. So in the first one, let's see how this works. What we're basically going to decide is for each specific site that we've got, for each activity there, and for each category within that activity, who should get the alerts. So if we take, for example, climbing centre in Buxton, and we've got loads of climbing equipment stored at that place. So we've got a climbing centre, and then underneath there we've got bouldering room, equipment store, so on and so forth. By default, the email alerts, for example, this climbing equipment, is just going to go to the administrator address. But what we might want to say is we're going to send those to a couple of particular users. So what we can do, take the first category, and we can say, yep, I would like Anna and Peter to be the people who get told about those alerts. So now, where we get an end-of-life warning or an upcoming inspection on that category, belay devices, those two people are going to get it. We want to replicate that for all the rest now. Your two choices here. You can replicate those two people just for the particular activity you've picked, climbing and bouldering, or for the whole of the site that they're at. So in this situation, it makes most sense to say this person is going to be responsible, these two people are going to be responsible for everything at the climbing centre. So by clicking the second of those two arrows, we're going to apply that to everything at that site. So very rapidly, we've been able to set up a distribution list for two people and then copy it all the way down for all of the others as well. And that general principle then you can then use for your different sites. So for example, this organisation has another site where they're doing some paddling and some water sports. Completely different people are going to be in charge of that equipment and would want to get the alerts for it. So for those areas of the organisation, you're going to set up a different alert scheme and different people will therefore get the relevant alerts. So the first part of that process then is really to make a decision that says, okay, well, for each place that I've got equipment stored, within that, which people should be getting the alerts for those. It gives you a lot more control and people will get alerts which are much more relevant. You may also want to think about scrolling down to the end and creating an alert for any equipment that's not at a specific site. That could be an accident, you've not assigned it to a site, or it could be you just don't yet know where it's supposed to live. In that situation, that could also be useful to have an alert scheme set up. For most of your equipment, it will have a home, you'll know where it lives, and you'll know who works there or is responsible for it, and you can assign them the job of managing that equipment, and thus they would expect to get those email alerts. You also might want to make some slight adjustments to how those emails are structured when they come out. So you can pop that open and here you get some options to change the subject line for those emails which are related to inspection and to testing and to servicing. So just to provide a little bit more context as to what the alert is rather than the standard text we use when we send out the alerts. So just by way of a quick recap there, so that was on the settings menu, and the tool is called Gear Alerts, and you're going to use that to set up distribution lists amongst your user base for who should get each of the different alerts for each of those categories. Do remember, there's also a training video on your account options, and underneath account and profile, we also looked at some other options there for how you can enable and disable those email alerts as well. So you, along with using Gear Alerts to distribute them correctly, you would also want to check on your account that you had got those email alerts turned on in the first place as well. Hopefully that's been a useful video. Any questions about how to set up Gear Alerts, just drop us an email. That's info@gearlog.org and we're here to help you.